All right, so I am here to talk about what just happened. We just had a call, PG County night call with Dr. Monica Goldson. She was my former high school principal, so I always root for her and try my best to engage in anything that she's involved in. So we had a call tonight, and luckily I answered it because usually I don't even answer unknown numbers. It was a number from Waldorf, and I was like, who in the heck is calling me at 7 o'clock at night from Waldorf? Or it was like 6 o'clock at night from Waldorf. I'm like, who is this? So I answered it, and of course it was like, school county-wide call discussing the return of getting back into schools for educators and the students. So the things that stood out to me, that's what I'm going to go over now, is like there was several really important topics that pertain to me, and hopefully it pertain to those of you listening or watching. So the first thing was the PPE in schools and buses. Okay, the PPE in school and in buses, they both pertain to me. Like, even though my children don't ride the bus, but still the fact that I was engaged in like listening to whoever had that question. They allowed people to ask questions during the call. So someone asked about the PPE in school buses and stuff like that. So children that are riding the school buses, of course they'll still be interacting with my children. So they discussed that they are definitely taking it seriously with the PPE on school buses, with hand sanitizers, and even trainings for the school bus drivers, trainings for the drivers on how to properly clean. And that's so important because with me, like, I'm super big on cleaning. That's what I talk about. I'm going to really get back into talking about in my podcast, is how to properly clean your home, because I'm really picky about just keeping things clean. Maybe I'm not the biggest organizer, but I'm definitely big on clean. So just coming from my background, being Dominican Haitian, we're big on keeping a clean home. So, and I used to clean homes, and it was just crazy to me that so many people don't know how to clean. So they're definitely having training for school bus drivers to definitely have that background, that training, and that know-how on how to keep their buses sanitized in between pickups and in between pickups and or drop-offs. I'm not sure how that works, but she said something about like every time they drop off, I guess, children, then something about they gotta wipe it down and clean it. So it's some type of training that they're gonna have. So that's great. And then of course the PPE at the schools, which I'm like, okay, what are y'all gonna have in the schools if you want children to come back hybrid? Or my children are going to continue virtually. That's what I chose in the survey that they had. They passed out the survey earlier this afternoon, or late this afternoon. They passed it out, and I chose to keep them virtually because me as an educator, I have to go back. So that's the next topic I'm going to discuss. But right now, PPE in the schools, Dr. Monica Goldson definitely highlighted that there are a ton of those what's those dividers, those plastic dividers or whatever. There's a ton of dividers in the cafeteria. At the POS, there's a divider there as well for the post of sales transaction and stuff like that. So she got dividers there, of course, for between the cafeteria staff and the students. And then I believe the seating arrangement would just be social distance. And I like that she touched base on, let's say if someone she called it pod, like we're going to be considered as pods now. So like if your classroom, I guess, is in this section or whichever section of the school, if someone tested COVID positive, then that pod will have to quarantine, so go home, quarantine for 2 weeks, and then come back, get tested again, and then in order to return back into the school setting. So I like that they're doing that. So, and definitely, of course, hand sanitizers, all of that good stuff, PPE, and I guess additional masks, like the blue ones, the blue and white masks, they'll have those. But I'm thinking about even buying my girls and I the face shields, because we have a ton of masks at home, but I'm even thinking about doubling it up. And getting them the face shields, because what I don't like is that I'm not sure as of now. If anyone knows, then please let me know, like in the comments or whatever, email. But who made the decision to allow students and staff to return to school even when they are not vaccinated? And Dr. Monica Goldson touched base on that at the end of the call, and she was like, it's really dear to my heart, because she's not big on popularity, but she's big on making a change in the school system. And she was like, she got slapped on the wrist several times because she thought that you can only, if you're vaccinated, that's the only way you're going to return back to school. And that's not the case. They're like, you can return back to school even if you're not vaccinated. And I agree with her. Like, why are they letting us and children return back to school if you're not vaccinated? You're just asking for the more COVID positive cases to arise. So I'm not a big fan of that, and that's the one reason why I'm going to continue to let my children continue the rest of the school year, finish it out virtually. You don't know where the staff or some of the students have been, if they've been traveling out the country, or traveling to Florida, wherever in the world, in the country, in the world, say, who knows where they've been, who knows where they traveled to, and who knows how serious they took it, or the children, how serious do their parents take it? Do their parents let them walk around with no mask and go here, go there without a mask? Who knows? And you're going to let them come, and the staff come to the school without being vaccinated? I don't agree with that. I agree with Dr. Monica Goldson that we should definitely all be vaccinated before entering the school system. Entering the buildings. So that's about the PPEs, in the school and buses. Now we're going to talk about the hallway and class changes and things. So she brought up, or I'm not sure if someone brought up the question, because I was kind of watching a video, an Oprah video. I'm always watching something about Oprah or listening to Oprah. So I was kind of doing two things at once. Like, I'm always multitasking, so I'm like sitting there listening to Oprah and listening to her. But either someone asked a question about the hallway changes, or Dr. Monica Goldson just brought it up. But for hallway changes and class changes, and she does not want that congestion in the hallway. So that's awesome that they thought about that. So they're definitely, she said that she's going to come back to us later on about what, I guess, the updates about what PG County schools are going to do and how they're going to do it in their schools. I guess each school will do their own thing, but we'll find a way to not make it so congested in the hallway. So maybe like if, who knows, a certain grade level, y'all can change classes, this grade level, or maybe this section of the school, you guys change classes, maybe stuff like that. So that would definitely help out with keeping the hallways as less congested as possible, especially for me, because I am a ESOL teacher, and the fact that I have to go from class to class to help my students and to co-teach, it's like, I definitely don't want to be in the hallway all the time, passing a ton of staff and students constantly, and then I got to come back home to my kids, my babies. Like, what am I going to have to quarantine or like stay to myself the whole time, away from my children? No. So yeah, they will definitely, I'm just interested to see what my school, first of all, what my school is going to say, and my kids' school. Like, so I got to find out what both of these schools are going to do. So I need to really stay on top of this. How are you guys going to transition? Because I completed the survey, so I did say that yes, I want my kids to continue virtually, but in case I change my mind, I want to know what they're going to do. So I think that's the first thing. I want to see what my girls' school is going to do about the hallway transitioning from class to class, and how do their teachers, how will they teach the class? Because Dr. Monica Goldson said that some teachers can even teach outdoors, keep their windows open, or even go outside, teach outdoors. So I'm really interested to hear from my girls' teachers and see how are you planning on teaching such a large class? I think both of them, my fourth grader and my first grader, they have a large class. So the first graders, how do you know that every student will keep their mask on? You know, and you got to think about their first graders. They're 6 years old, you know, maybe 6, 7 years old. So are they going to keep their booger hands to themselves, or if they got to, under the mask, wipe their nose? I don't know. When they go to the bathroom, you know, they're kids, they're babies. So, like, do they properly wash their hands? Like, who's going to help her? Who's going to help my first graders teacher? Like, help them really monitor washing your hands with lukewarm water. Well, not lukewarm, but really warm water for 20 seconds. You know, and I mean, my kids know how to do that. I'm not trying to sound like I'm perfect, but my babies, oh, we got that hand in the bag. Like, 20 seconds, they sing happy birthday song, or literally my first grader, she'll just count. She'll just wash her hands. 1, 2, 3. You know, she'll count to 20. But sometimes the water will be cold, so sometimes I have to, like, watch out for her. Like, baby, make sure the water's warm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you got all those kids in the classroom, especially the first graders, that water could be cold, and half the time, well, majority of the time, these schools, their water takes a long time to get warm. So washing your hands, for real, that's not going to do anything, because by the time that water gets warm, instruction is going to be done, and they got to go to the next class. So just keeping, like I said earlier, the PPE, keeping the you know, the personal protective equipment in there, you know, such as hand sanitizers, maybe extra masks in case a student forgets their mask. But, you know, the hallway changes is what was a big concern to me, because I'm like, you have all these children, young children in there that they'll forget, you know, they'll forget how serious this is. So that was a very good question or topic that Dr. Goldson brought. Okay, so this brings me to my next concern is, or that was big for me, is, you know, the parents, making sure that parents do not come into the building when they're dropping their kids off and picking them up. They kind of had that regulation at my daughter's school where pickup time, you don't have to come in, do not come in. But there would still be some parents that would just, you know, go to the main office or probably kind of sneak to their classroom anyway. So I want to really see how this is going to work and pan out, because hopefully parents will understand and be very respectful of each school's regulations, because, you know, if a parent is coming in there, I don't know. I mean, you would think the parent would have their mask on, but Dr. Monica Goldson said that she just doesn't want any parents to come into the building at all, like at all. Because I believe someone did ask, are parents allowed to come in for, you know, picking them up or dropping them off? You know how we would see them off, goodbye, give them a kiss and stuff. So none of that. She said definitely they're going to be strict about that. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing. Just, you know, especially elementary schools. Are the parents going to be respectful? Are the parents going to oblige to all the rules that the school has? So I don't know if, like, I don't know, because then what if a parent like me, because I always have questions sometimes, so I like to kind of just walk right into the main office. I don't go to my kids' class, but I like to walk into the office sometime and ask the secretary certain questions or whatever about something, you know, field trip or whatever. So I'm just like, if I have a question, hopefully they'll be good with phone pickups, because I don't really like to call. I like to just go straight to the school, because sometimes if you call the school, they'll put you on hold, or it's like it's not as effective as actually when you're on your way to pick them up or you're dropping them off to quickly ask a question. So I just wonder how they're going to work that out. Where are they going to have frequently asked questions for each school or the county? I think, yeah, Dr. Monica Goldson, she did say that she was going to have a frequently asked questions on the page. But I'm like, as far as the school, I guess if parents have questions, since we can't come into the building, I don't know how they're going to work that out. But maybe they'll have like an email. Maybe they'll just say email the secretary, or something like that. So hopefully we'll get more information before the hybrid and educators have to go back. Now this topic right here, I was actually waiting for someone to ask this question, because again, like I said, I was watching the Oprah video. So luckily someone asked a question that I needed to be asked, even though my question is a little bit different. But educators with children, now I'm not quite sure, because this year anyway my girls were going to be walkers, so I didn't even look up to see if the child cares were going to be reopened as normal. But one lady did ask, like, okay, are educators with children, if child cares are closed, how are we going to work? Can we bring our children to work? So Dr. Goldson did say that yes, you can bring your children to work, but work that out with your supervisor and work out like days that you can bring your children. For instance, the hybrid, it was going to be like A through J or something. They're coming to school Monday, Tuesday, and then, the other children will come Thursday and Friday. But I wonder, because it just brings so many questions. Like I said, I have a ton of questions. So I'm like, for instance, one of my children, she has a speech. She has an IEP. She needs to get her speech sessions done. So I'm like, even though her last name falls under the Thursday, Friday category, I'm wondering, like, what about other children? Say if they had a last name that was in the upper category, A through J. Like, what if she had her speech classes on Thursdays? Would she do those speech classes virtually, or it would be more effective if she can see them in person? Like my daughter, she loves her speech teacher, or her speech therapist. She loves her. So I'm just thinking about other children. Like, my child is pretty much good. Thursday, Friday is usually her speech classes. But what about someone else? So that's a question there. Maybe they would just do it virtually, if they didn't come to school, those hybrid days were in the building. But again, with educators with children, she said to work that out with your supervisor on days to come, days to bring the children and stuff like that. So for instance, me, being that I'm an ESOL teacher, I jump from class to class. So with me, how would that work? I have to find out, how is this going to work? Am I able to bring my children to work and they come with me to every class? Or am I able to let them stay like in a large space like the library or the cafeteria, But again, they would have to be monitored. So who's going to monitor my children while they're in the library cafeteria? Not unless, if I'm not the only one. So that would be a plus. If I'm not the only one, then okay, maybe the librarian, the children of the staff can stay in the library. The librarian will be there. Maybe when she goes on her lunch break, we have to come back and get the children, let her take her break, and then bring them back. That would work. So hopefully, again, it's for each school. So I have to find out from my supervisor if that can work. I'm gonna partition it to them and let them know, like, hey, I need this to happen, please, because I can't leave my babies at home by themselves all day for instruction. So that will definitely have to get I guess asked, and then I'll update this podcast and video for you guys as well. Okay, Professional Development Day. So Dr. Goldson said that we will still have Professional Development Day. It will be on Wednesdays only. She said that she made that decision because it's best that, since again, that will be our virtual day. So that'll be a day where the students will be at home working, she can let them continue with that Wednesday, that day being their independent practice day, and that would be our Professional Development Day. So I like that she thought of that, because how else, were we going to be able to get those professional development days make it happen. So and then that also helps the children, that also helps the students, because that'll keep them, just keep them staying on track with Wednesdays. Okay, they know that Wednesday, that's our half a day, that's our, getting our work done or catching up on work that needs to be done. So awesome job, Dr. Monica Goldson. Yes, yes, yes. Now the hybrid days. I kind of touched base on that earlier about the days that the students will be going to school. So like I said, I like it. I like how it's set up, where the students will just go to school 2 days out the week, which is perfect to me, which is really cool. But like I said, and just like Dr. Goldson said too, like, she thought that we were able to, the only ones allowed in the school would be the ones that got vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated, then come on in. But that's not the case. So it's just going to be a ton of people in the school building that you don't know who's vaccinated and who's not. Like, I don't know whose big idea that was, because it definitely wasn't Dr. Goldson. But who decided that just anybody and everybody is going to come in the building, whether you're vaccinated or you're not? And then, if someone's COVID positive, oh my goodness, we gotta quarantine. I don't know. It might, to be honest, it might turn out to be a hot mess, for real. Because why would whoever made that decision, like I said, I'll find that out. But whoever made that final decision that all is welcomed to the school building, that's going to be a hot mess. And it's like, for real, school buses. Like, you got to think about the bus drivers. They're going to be dealing with children, the beautiful scholars that, who knows, they might act out on the bus. They might go buck wild and take their mask off and, rah-rah sometimes. Like, who knows what they're going to do? Coughing, sneezing. Yeah, they got hand sanitizers and all that stuff, but really, they're kids. They're kids. They're going to just have fun. They're probably going to be so excited to finally be around their peers, to finally make friends again, to finally hang out. Like, I took my brother let me tell you, 3 times. I took my brother to this skating ring around the corner, and literally every night I went at different times to this skating rink, and every time I took him, jam-packed, and we got there on time. But each night, and like I said, I tried one night at 8, I tried one night earlier, like I got there at like 7. I tried the next night and I got there like an hour and a half earlier. It was still jam-packed so fast, because these kids, they miss being around their peers. They miss being around their friends. So I'm like, dang, like, we couldn't, that whole weekend, I tried Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. We could not get into the skating rink because of those children. They miss being around their friends. So imagine how it's going to be on the school bus. So I'm just like, poor bus drivers, because y'all, who knows what's going to go down on those school buses. And then it's like, you don't know who's vaccinated or not. Like, that mix up is not cool. It's not cool. Like, it'll be so much better to know everybody walking in this building is vaccinated. Bet. Cool. What? If you are standing out there, I know you're not vaccinated. If you're in this building, I know you're vaccinated, and we're good. We're still going to wear our mask and have PPE, of course, but at least, woosah, I know we're good because we're all vaccinated. Hey. So, but now it's like, you're going to mix it up. It's not, so I'll see. I just want to see how that's going to work. And like I said, that's why I made the decision that I made for my children to continue the year off virtually. And like I said, now it's just me. And then that's the thing. That's why I talked about, again, earlier, educators with children. What the hell are we going to do? So the fact that I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in the school building with people who are vaccinated, not vaccinated. And then I might have to bring my children. So that that's like a whole another issue. That's a whole nother issue right there. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to really make sure we keep our immune system up to par, and just pray, because this is crazy. And I know that they will have, Dr. Goldson brought up that the county will have like the next topic that we're going to talk about, phone call, is they brought up 3, but it was an even split. It was like press 1 for if you want to discuss a topic on like anxiety and mental wellness or something like that, or stress and stuff from returning back to school. 2, if you want to talk about, well, no, number three, because that's the one that I picked, was employment, because, or like about your employment, because I'm like, with me with the children, I'm an ESOL teacher, so I got the children, so I want to make sure I can bring my children when I need to bring them to work. But option number 2, I forgot that one, but still, it was just like 3 different topics, and they were all even split, like all 30, 30, 33, all even split. So yeah. So let me know in the comments, like, if your school or if your county or your state is doing this hybrid school thing. Are you guys required to be vaccinated? Or, and that's the thing, is it a nationwide? I'm gonna Google and research if this is like nationwide, that they made the decision that we will you can be vaccinated or not vaccinated, doesn't matter, but you're still going to return to school. Or is it just a state thing? Is it just us, Maryland? Because that's insane. I think it is just Maryland that made that decision, but we'll see. But drop in the comments below what your county or what your state, what their decision is with school. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll give you guys an update soon. Bye.